Hello and welcome, beautiful family, to the Soul to Soul Conversations podcast. I'm Caroline Crawford.
And I'm Paul Crawford.
And wherever you're joining us from around the world right now, let's just take a breath together so we can just be here in this moment, connecting heart to heart, soul to soul. So thank you so much for tuning in and being with us. We just wanted to start this episode by saying a massive thank you to all our new subscribers, and whether you've been with us from the beginning or you've just joined us, just know that we're so full of gratitude for you being with us and you're receiving a very warm welcome from us. So this episode is going to be a little bit different. We will still be talking about spiritual things and some wisdom and insights and things, but we're going to have a very different episode this month, and Paul's going to share with you what that is. I'm so excited.
Okay, so we've just returned from an amazing vacation, scuba diving in Mexico, Cabo, San Lucas, Mexico. We was invited last year by our friends Bart and Jules, who are very experienced scuba divers, and they said, would you like to come for a scuba diving holiday vacation in Mexico? We said, definitely.
Yeah.
Now, and it's funny because we weren't qualified as scuba divers at that point, and we wanted to scuba dive probably for the last 30
years or more. Yeah.
But the thought of actually qualifying in a dark and cold lake in Leicester, which was probably about 45 minutes from where we lived, it just wasn't that exciting or appealing.
Because we did fully look into it, didn't we? But they said it's very dark and cold, and I was like, maybe we should do it when we go abroad. But we actually never got round to it.
But we have. Yeah. So last year we started off, we did our open water certification, and we went through that and qualified for that. And then this year we qualified for our advanced certification, which also involved us, because what we had done at that point was really going from shore dives, which is going in from beaches, you're walking in with all your gear on, walking into the sea, and returning that way, or into lakes in the same sort of manner. And we also went off of a platform at a place called the Blue Grotto, that was part of our advanced certification, where we actually dove down to 85 feet, because up to the open water you can go up to 60 feet as a maximum. And to advance allows you then to go up to 100.
But also, remember, our friends told us that unless we'd got our advanced certification, we wouldn't be able to go on the boat because of the depth and the water that would be diving in. But so that's why we wanted to do that.
So that's all part of it. So at the Blue Grotto, went down the 85 feet, and that was amazing, a new experience as well.
It was the first one, not salt water, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was natural spring water. Yeah, so and that was amazing in itself.
And there's turtles there as well.
Yeah, there's a well-known turtle that always comes up and
Virgil. I remembered its name. Do you know, I could never remember its name before, and it just came in. Virgil, which is a funny name for a turtle, but anyway. But our first dive was actually at Cabo Pulmo, which is a national park. And it must have been about a 3-hour drive to get there. And the last section, which was probably 30 minutes, was all of unmade roads. So it was jiggling around and everything else. Anyway, we was all excited. We got there and we didn't know, because it was the first time we've gone off, dove from a boat. So we was quite excited, the unknown element and the unknown aspect of it. And the actual boat was called Emily. And our first dive master was Irene, who's a friend of mine who also scuba dives. I thought, that's a good sign. We're on to a good one. She was so lovely.
She was amazing.
She really was.
Yeah. So there we are.
More synchronicity.
I know. So there we are. We got on the boat, onto the sea, went out, got ourselves prepared. And it was a good job that when we went to the Blue Grotto, we actually practiced our giant stride and entry and our backward roll entry. when you're going into the water.
Great fun.
Yeah, and we actually used both those techniques off the boat, so that was good training. So we were so glad we did that. Yeah. But on the first dive, we got ourselves ready, propped ourselves up over the edge of the boat, and then we all on 3 rolled back into the water, and then we just descended down to the bottom of the sea there. And I think at that point it must have been 55 to 65 feet, something like that. The visibility was about 35 feet. The visibility that time of year is not the best. It's better in November, but 35 feet is better than what we've had here in Sarasota. And and the first thing that we encountered was this enormous stingray that was just on the seabed. And I'd actually got an underwater camera, so I started going towards it, videoing it. And the most prominent thing that I remember seeing was its eyes was just like, and it was just blinking. And I thought, as we approached it, I thought it was going to start swimming off. And I was thinking to myself, great, I'm going to get some action of it going off and swimming off, and it stayed there. So we just drifted on by and went on, and Caroline's going to tell you a bit more of what we saw. But Caroline, I'd just like to know, what did you feel when we actually got down to the seabed?
I knew this was going to happen. I'm already feeling emotional because it just, to be honest, the whole experience just blew my mind. But when we first got down and we saw that stingray, I was just like, wow! It was just, I just thought, wow, because it was so beautiful, and it was kind of camouflaged a little bit in the same colour of the sand, wasn't it?
Yes, it was, yeah.
But I loved its big eyes blinking. It's like it was talking to us. You know how cats talk to you with their eyes? I say to my cats, I love you, and I'll do it back. And it felt like that. So, it was quite amazing. Yeah. And then from the stingray, we moved on. And Irene pointed up, and I'm just going to have to apologise. When people say you'll see schools of fish, I honestly thought it'd perhaps be, 100 or so, if that. Well, we looked up, and there above us, it was just this magnificent school of yellow snapper. They were so beautiful. And as the sun rays hit down through the water, they were kind of like lit up, weren't they?
Yeah.
I remember just leaning back and looking up, and I just thought, this just feels totally just surreal. I felt totally mesmerised, and as those sun rays came through, it's like what you see on on the TV. I was just like, wow, this is just so special. And then we saw an even larger school. In fact, joking me, as usual, I called them, I said, gosh, they were so big. They weren't a school of fish. They were a university of fish. So we all joked about that. We saw these were like a massive, how many feet long do you think that school was?
It's difficult to judge, but it just seemed to just go on.
Yeah, 60, 70 feet or more. And there were thousands of them deep that way as well as wide. And they were silver jackfish. So again, their silver skin just glistened in the sun. And then we saw multiple stingrays and the moray eels. I'd call for his imitation of a moray eel.
And with its teeth coming out of that,
They didn't seem aggressive though. It's just they open and close their mouth.
But it was
was quite funny.
It was a close up, and and it's funny because that encounter was. I had no fear with it, and I know you were the same.
I know, I'm just fearless. People keep saying, my friends, weren't you scared? No, not at all. A little mermaid swimming away.
So, and it was just in that natural environment. And I always remember back to the days of when I was younger, and we went into watching, it was Jacques Cousteau. It was a really famous underwater diver at that time, doing all these documentaries and everything else. And I remember thinking, this is just something that our treasure forever. And because when I was at that younger age, it was something that I was just so mesmerised by, and there I was, and there we were doing it. But it was, the whole variety of fish that was there.
Yeah, we saw different. I didn't know there were so many different varieties and species of puffer fish. And some of them were quite large and some smaller, but they were like polka dot ones. I can't remember their names, and different colours, and all parrotfish. Oh, they were beautiful. And one of my favourites was, it's a funny name, a bumphead wrasse. But it was so beautiful, and he just seemed like the granddaddy, didn't he, of the underwater sea. It was so, and we saw huge groupers. I mean, crikey dikey. King angel fish, sturgeon fish, just so many, too many to almost remember. But one of the other good things was I'd called in the whales before we went on the actual vacation and while we were there, because I really wanted to see them. And as we made our first descent, I heard them. I thought, God, it sounds like a whale. I didn't think anything of it, because then we were looking at the stingray. And when we surfaced later on, the captain of the ship called me over, and thankfully I'd left my phone with him, and he'd filmed these two huge whales, and one of them actually blew out through its spout. So Paul will put the video up for you, but it was just such another magical moment, wasn't it?
Yeah,
it just felt so blessed.
Everything just seemed to just fall into place completely. And it was, just, and as I was in that water, I was, I felt very calm, very peace. Nothing else, everything else, the rest of the world almost like disappeared, because you were focused in that moment. Obviously, there's your normal checks you're doing for your gauges and everything else.
Equalising.
Regularly doing that. But then, what you were seeing, it was like every time you turned somewhere, you were seeing something new.
Else.
And when you were saying about the schools or the universities of fish, and then they started surrounding us.
My gosh!
And then the part came when they kind of
circled us.
It circled us, but then it thinned out. And then there was this like humongous groupers that were there.
It really was.
Like, wow.
Tell them what you said you thought might happen, because you made me laugh, that what might come through and eat them. I don't know, I hadn't even thought of that.
I don't know why. The first time I saw one of these schools, I just had this vision of this shark suddenly just coming through, just vroom,
Yeah, raw. But and then the other really, or that I'd say this was the most profound moment for me, and I'd said to Paul, let's do our ascent together, because I just knew I had to do it, and I kept saying it to you, didn't I? So we held hands, and you have to do a decompression stop at 15 feet. So you come up and then you wait for 3 minutes. So we were there, we were holding hands, and I looked at Paul, I'm going to get emotional again. And I just got this deja vu. But then as that happened, it's like every lifetime we'd had together was just there in that moment. It's so hard to put into words. And it was just such a deeply profound and moving moment. It was just incredible. And since I've got home, I did mention it to our dear friend Shayla, who has a lot of knowledge on these stars and, where we're from and all these races going back, these ancient races. And she said to me, Caroline, that's really interesting that you had those profound moments underwater. She said, because she's had many lifetimes on the star Sirius B, and I've always felt from Sirius, and another guy that does that, he does readings and tells you what your home planet was. He told me it was Sirius, and apparently they have advanced aquatic skills, strong connections to animals, very intuitive, and I was just like ticking all these boxes. So I think that's what it was, why I had such a deeply moving and profound moment. But that's something that, a lot of it will stay with us forever, won't it?
Yeah, but I think that as well, and we had 2 dives in that spot.
Both had 2 dives,
yeah. And on the second dive, because it was the first time that I did some videography underwater.
I mean, can I just say, he did so well. Bless him. He was, getting your buoyancy right, and then he had an added camera to contend with. We watched some of the footage, and I'm just bless him. I'm so proud.
I mean, I love videoing and everything as well, but it was great.
Yeah.
And anyway, on the second one, I said, I'm not going to take the camera. I'm just going to focus on just, being there, just enjoying the fish, working, because working on your buoyancy is a continual progression. Anyway, big mistake. We got down on the second dive, and almost immediately there was an even bigger school of fish.
A bigger university.
The biggest in the world.
Yay.
And we were just completely encircled by them.
Encircled in
and then they were splitting around us and everything else. And
it's like they were welcoming us. Like, oh, you're here. It was so,
But it was, and in that moment, I just thought, damn it, I should have had my camera. But anyway, I've got the memory of it. And it was really nice as well, because as they moved on a bit and it thinned out, then all of a sudden you see all these other fish would just suddenly be there and just slowly, and I've got some images, and I'll overlay this bit with it, of this fish just coming up and just going across in front of me, and I was thinking, oh, hello, how are you today?
They're very curious, some of them, aren't they? You just feel they've really invited you into their world, and they know you're not going to harm them. So it was just lovely. But so they were our 2 dives in Cabo, Pulmo at the National Park. And then 2 days later, because that was Monday, wasn't it? Then Wednesday, we dove very local to where it was like a 10-minute boat ride from where we were. We got to the marina, and that was in Cabo St. Lucas. And we had another great dive master, Pablo. And they gave us a really good kind of prep before we went in, what we were going to do, what you said. Oh, and the sea lions were playing, weren't they? That was great. But this time they showed us a big board of all these different fish, and he pointed out this scorpion fish. He said, you will see these. He said, and if you touch one, you'll go straight to hospital. I thought, Caroline, remember that. So I was very good. I was very well behaved, because Paul knows how adventurous I am and a bit fearless. But I thought, no, I really put my sensible hat on. The first thing the first thing we saw was a guitar shark, which I had never heard of. Our friend was calling us, look at this, and there it was. It just glided by quite low on the surface, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we saw a stunning octopus, which we were so pleased about. That was on our list of things that was so beautiful. And again, so amazingly camouflaged, wasn't it? It was just also just astonishing. It really was.
But it was the whole variety of it all, and there was one moment in particular where I was watching all of this, the fish going around, and then all of a sudden, and there was I was kind of back here, and there was a couple of other divers. You was down there, and I think Bart and Jules were over that way. And then all of a sudden, there's this black shadow came down. And at first I thought, oh, is that a seal? And then it turned out it was a cormorant. But it was like, it come down.
So fast.
And it was like zooming round to, like going after the fish.
Catch a fish.
And normally I've only seen the cormorants when we've been kayaking, and they like to like follow your boat. Then as you're paddling, it like churns up the water a little bit, and then they dive down, and if they're lucky, they come up with the fish. Well, I have a whole new level of respect for these cormorants, because the effort that they put in to diving down.
Because the fish were like darting everywhere. This cormorant was like, it was just, it seemed a little bit cartoony, didn't it? Because it was that fast, honestly.
It was hilarious.
I said that to you, didn't I? I'll respect them now, how hard they have to work.
Yeah, but that was just amazing.
Yeah.
But again, there was so much that the whole variety and the topography of the seabed was all different, and that the textures were all different. And it was almost like every aspect of it brought a whole new layer to the added experience of it all. And it was about, and again these angel fish that was there. I think there was a king angel fish
and trumpet fish and the wrasse, and what about the clams? How they were stuck to the rocks, the seawall.
But it was like
it was like something off of a cartoon, like what's that, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. It was just something like it really was. And for the last 2 dives, I got my buoyancy so good. I was so pleased. I felt like a little mermaid spinning round, and it was so nice. But one of the other favourite moments in that dive, Paul knows I'm going to get emotional again. I had a little look on ChatGPT, as you do, before we went diving, and it said, don't just look where all the fish are, look out into the deep blue sea, because you might see something just gliding past. So I did that. And just before we came up from the first dive, this was one of my favourite moments. This beautiful mobula ray, the ones you see jumping out the sea, just appeared silently out of the deep blue and moved so gracefully through the water. And on top it looked black, and then it turned and showed us underneath, and it was all white. And it was just like, it was so graceful. It was just like flying effortlessly beneath the sea. And as I watched it, I just thought it was so serene, and it just felt almost ancient, and just something I shall never forget. I was like, wow. And I just kept saying thank you, thank you, thank you. It was just amazing.
But it was how it just, and I know, you just have different sounds going on. You hear a lot of the bubbles from the oxygen you're breathing, but it just it glided in, and then, as you say, it turned and showed its underside as it went vertically up. But it was so effortless, and graceful. It was such a beautiful, amazingly stunning sight to see.
What was your favourite moment? Well, I know it's hard to say, but one of.
Moment. That was, but I think really one of my favourite moments was, I love the cormorant.
That was comical, wasn't it?
My first favourite moment was when the school just enveloped us, and were all around us, and it was just one of those sort of otherworldly moments of experiences.
It really, truly,
and it really was. But also it was a and I always get their name wrong. The bump head wrasse.
Yeah.
And I started following, as I was videoing, I started following this one, and as it was just gliding round, and then they were nibbling on the rocks, so they must have been getting some minerals and things off of that, and then going on, and then it disappeared, and then I picked it up again, or it might have been another one, but I kind of pretended it was the same one had come back. And just in that moment, I was completely lost, and that was all I could see. And I just thought how beautiful and how magnificent this is. And it's another aspect of the beauty that's everywhere in this world that we don't see on a daily basis. But it's so much of it is out there and just waiting for us to explore.
And I do think you caught on camera, there was 2 fish, and they were searching for, there was this, it wasn't that deep, perhaps 2 or 3 feet, a little sandfall, and they were looking, and we were there, and it's like we were all in it together, weren't they? They weren't bothered about us, and we were just so curious at what they were doing, and hopefully Paul will find that. But
you had all the big things, but all the small things, even the tiny little fish that were just going around. It
brightly
was just
coloured, so fluorescent.
And it was just, some of it was just, it's beyond words. Beyond words. It's just so magical.
So the other thing that I really wanted to see, and I'm going to do more of, I want to swim with them, is sharks. Everyone says, I said, no, they're not as aggressive as the TV would make you out. So just before the end of our last dive master called me over, and there was a white tip reef shark just sleeping in the rocks. And at that point, I'd had so many profound moments. My energy field felt so expanded. And I suppose I was about, 20 feet, not even that, perhaps 15 feet from it. It's hard to tell because, the water magnifies things. But I felt it. I could almost feel its skin, and it was just resting quietly. It was just such a beautiful moment. So that was another very special moment for me, seeing that white tip reef shark. I was just thrilled to bits. Paul missed it, bless him. I don't know what happened there.
Well, I think I was probably off videoing
the rats. Rats.
But I think that's the beauty of it. Oh, and then you're hearing, listening to you talking about your experiences and how magical that was and how emotional it was. And it is an emotional journey because it's just, you're just so connected to it, and it's you almost get lost in it.
Well, I'm definitely now slightly obsessed with scuba diving. I said to Paul, I wish we could go this weekend, but we can't. And in 2 weeks we're going to the UK to see all our family and friends in England. But mark my words, there will be more scuba diving adventures. We're going to go down to the Keys and go over to the East Coast. But we were just talking earlier about our childhood memories, and I'd had memories of sitting watching TV on my own of these beautiful underwater documentaries, as we know in England with David Attenborough, but he's known worldwide. And I was just you're just mesmerised by that type of thing. And that's how it was. I mean, we have seen, to be honest, the most beautiful coral I think we'll ever see in the world in Egypt when we snorkeled. And we know that this was just the start of so many more amazing adventures for us. And, we'll share them on and off with you. If you want us to, leave that down in the comments. But one more thing, what else would you have liked to have seen that you didn't?
I would have, because I actually never got to seesaw.
I
never actually got to see the octopus.
Didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Or the shark.
But hey, there's just another excuse for me to go out diving again.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what was I know you said about your that your real special moments, but how did you feel when you were just down there and going through it all?
Just lost, just totally in the moment, just immersed in that moment as though I'd done it before, just incredibly blessed and so full of gratitude for the amazing things we've seen. Like I say, I know this is just the tip of the iceberg, but and the adrenaline I had, it is an adrenaline boost, I have to say, a rush. And it really does get your adrenaline going because, like Paul said, everywhere you look, there's something else magical and amazing to see. It's kind of beyond belief. And as I say, this is just the first. So that is truly how it was for me. I just felt it was very sacred, very spiritual. I had other experiences that I'll maybe share another time. But I can't encourage, don't ever let anybody tell you you're too old to follow your dreams, because you're not. We're in our 60s and we are thoroughly on a new path with different things with this.
Absolutely. And I think it just goes to show you, and it's funny how it was almost like it was the divine timing, everything just fell into place. Everything came together to allow us to experience that and to now add this aspect into our life moving forward.
What did you say to me spiritually? Because I said my consciousness, I felt I had such a shift and so expanded. And we were saying that it doesn't just expand our energy field. Do you remember what you said?
I can't.
You said as you expand, so it expands through the entire of all existence, because it does. And that's how it felt. My consciousness, my energy field felt so expanded. So before we finish, we'll just tell you, so we didn't just scuba dive, we also went jet skiing and we got into trouble. We never get wrong. misadventurous said to Paul, let's go over there. We went too far, apparently. Got told off.
We went out of sight, which we shouldn't have done.
Yeah, but I didn't know. But, we didn't do it on purpose.
They told us that we can go left. We had to keep away from the cruise ships. And we had to go left.
We did.
So we did
but
left.
We probably went about 2 miles left. We should have gone 200 yards, but that was fun, wasn't it? more. So, and then the last night, well, we had some amazing meet-up, but we had this most amazing saxophone player. I'm hoping Paul's not going to put too much footage up of that because they came and got me up. So I was dancing with the saxophone player, but he was the most talented sax player I've ever heard, and he was only young, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he was great.
It was just a great. I put a post on Facebook, and it was like just saying, what a great way to end an amazing vacation. And then they set off some fireworks. It was like
and under the full moon. I mean, you can't make this up. It was so magical. The great big full moon, right where we had the best table in the restaurant, didn't we? Overlooking the ocean and the great big mama moon. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, it was
beyond belief. Really.
It was amazing. It was stimulated every aspect of our being, from the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual, and it just unified everything. And as I was saying to you, it just really felt that essence of greater expansiveness, and we can't wait for the next one.
So thank you so much for listening. We trust you've enjoyed this. I think you can feel our emotion and our excitement, which we just felt so immensely there. So take care of yourselves. Please remember to like, and if you haven't already, please subscribe. Share with people that you think this might interest them and be uplifting and inspiring to them. I will be doing the full moon guided meditation that'll be for June. And what's the other thing? Oh, and the energetics update. We did have a break because we just were insanely busy, but so forgive us for that. But hit that subscribe button. We look forward so much for being with you again soon.
And just before we close, the other thing I do want to say, we spoke at the beginning about this heart center connection that we feel with you, and thankful for you. And in Mexico, when throughout the hotel and other places where you were going, when they greeted you and they said hello, they would put their hand like this. And it was like that heart connection, and it was just very genuine, and you really felt sweet. It. And it was such a something. Just another level of something to be thankful and grateful for. And I think that just leaves us to say,
well, until next time, keep choosing love, keep listening and trusting your inner guidance, and focus on your frequency. There's a lot of craziness going on out there, but focus on keeping your energy strong and positive, and know that we love you. So from Paul and from myself, goodbye for now. Namaste.